about how China's proxy Nepal has also now climbed down after India took a very strong stand, saying that at no point will India think about moving back from the position that it already holds because it's Indian territory. India has taken a very strong stand, and now China's proxy Nepal has made a climb down. Let me go across to Athar, who's joining us with more details, our consulting editor. Athar, what's happening on Nepal's front?
Well, you're right in describing it as a climb down. It is a major climb down on the part of Nepal, clearly, given the fact that now the House in Nepal, the Parliament in Nepal, will be discussing the constitutional amendment to update the map only, Meghna, and this is important, only after there is a national consensus. This discussion to amend the constitution, of course, triggered this conversation. The government, remember, had registered an amendment proposal in the Nepalese parliament on the 22nd of May, after already releasing a new political map of Nepal, which depicted Kalapani, Lipu Lake, and Limipiyadhura as its own territories. Remember, India does not agree to those boundaries, has never agreed to those boundaries, and it became an issue of concern clearly on the Indian side. The map, you also remember, was released in response, many believe, to the opening a road to link India via Lipu Lake with the Tibet Autonomous Region of China. Now, this climb down clearly comes after a lot of behind-the-scenes activity, we understand, Meghna, on the part of India. There has been strenuous diplomatic effort on India's part, because, as I mentioned before, India did not agree to the contours of those of that new map that the Nepalese parliament had released. Now this decision has, of course, clearly put India one up, if I can call it that. This is clearly what many people have called already a cartographic war. And many people have, in fact, already hailed in Nepal the release of this new map, but the climb down in this particular sense, that the details of this new map will only be released officially after there is a national consensus inside Parliament and outside Parliament. Clearly, this is a one-up for India. It's clearly bearing fruit of India's diplomatic efforts, both behind the scenes and on top of it.
And also, India refusing to budge and refusing to blink has a bearing on its strategy as well. Do stay on with us, Athar. A quick word from Nikunj as well. Nikunj, all of this is happening after the Indian Army chief also came out and said that Nepal may be doing what it is called a cartographic war at the behest of another country, linking it to China. So how much of a bearing is it going to have in the overall strategic fight that we've seen in the entire region?
Well, Meghna, that was absolutely on the dot, absolutely describing the situation appropriately and aptly coming from the Indian Army chief. He made a very thinly veiled reference. Chinese or the Nepalese, actually the Nepalese took offense and started claiming that General Narwane had done some kind of insult to the Gorkha soldiers contributing to the Indian Army. The fact remains that this is an area, this is a portion of the map, this is a portion, forget about the cartographic war, on the physical, geographical terrain also very well settled between India and Nepal. Former Home Minister Rajnath Singh, when this road alignment was discussed, had Nepalese dignitaries visiting him over at least on 3 occasions. None of them protested. Then he became the defense minister, and last month he inaugurated this road. So as a defense minister, he inaugurated a project which he actually had launched as the home minister of the country. Nepalese had not protested then. It is only at the behest of the Chinese and at a particular juncture when the China want India to sort of fall in its quarter during an extremely tedious process of international scrutiny of its handling of the coronavirus crisis, and increasing flack from United States of America because of, again, another geopolitical positioning that China is trying to mount this kind of pressure. Of course, India is not going to yield, but the fact is that Chinese are trying to do this. Remember, I have been saying since yesterday that Chinese political consortium or the political party never does anything which without a grander or a bigger message to send. In this episode also, when they are trying to ratchet up the tensions on the line of actual control, many areas, fact remains that the Galwan and Finger 4 area are not the areas of new dispute. talks are going on for quite some time on that, these areas, substantial period of time. But for the Chinese to ratchet it up at this point of time is not just triggered by India's infrastructure building. There is a larger international diplomatic political complex at play. China is wanting to send a message across through its traditional belligerent and bellicose military positioning on the pressure points or the pain points that it thinks it can build to bring countries like India, who have traditionally and even now maintained a very neutral posture even in the complex international diplomacy, where China is increasingly being scrutinized, but India has refused to take any position other than an independent position that a country of India's size and importance and heft should be taking. Right. So therefore, for China to try and bulldoze and show some amount of belligerence and force India into a position that is not appropriate will never yield any results. But of course, Chinese are used to these kind of tactics. Governments in the past, unfortunately, also during the UPA era, UPA 1 and 2, have tended to yield, have tended to at least accommodate the Chinese position whenever they have shown signs of military belligerence. And that is something Mr. Narendra Modi, as the Prime Minister's dispensation, has put an end. And Chinese have tried it in the past. India has continued with its diplomatic posture. Nonetheless, if the Chinese think that they can try it again and get over with whatever they wish to, get onto with whatever they wish to, it's not going to happen. So India has bolstered its position on the positions that is required. In the Doklam Plateau crisis also, remember, Doklam was a completely different crisis because it was a third country's territory. India was only acting in the defense of its protectorate, Bhutan. This is Indian territory. Indian and Chinese forces are virtually face-to-face. Officially, it is not being described as a face-to-face. But if the Chinese think that they can, through their bellicosity and belligerence, push through their point of view and force India into a position diplomatically on multilateral platforms, that is not going to happen. As I said, the numbers are under watch. India has suitably strengthened its position. Traditionally, Government of India on such a sensitive and delicate matter has maintained that backroom diplomacy will work. In this case also, Government of India is refraining from making a political comment on the entire situation. But all necessary steps, more importantly, the resoluteness.
Back and we'll discuss that more, Nikunj. What it means that the two governments, Indian and China, are not coming out making clear developments and statements regarding what is happening in eastern Ladakh and the confusion that it's led to. But coming back to the Nepal point, Athar, if I can come back to you, if India does manage this diplomatic coup and gets Nepal to rethink the cartographical war that they are having with India, how important is it strategically to have Nepal back in our allies' corner?
Well, it's extremely important because, as we all know, the Communist Party in Nepal is in power right now. They have the majority in parliament, and they, needless to say, have extremely close ties with the Communist Party of China, which is clearly pulling the strings, as Nikunj was pointing out in not so many words. But let me also point out right now, as the Indian thinking on this particularly has evolved quite sharply after the Nepalese put out that map, there is a lot of talk inside Nepal as well regarding the efficacy of the plan or the hastiness of the plan to actually release the map without, let's say, consulting India on how it feels about it. There is a large constituency inside Nepal as well, inside parliament and in their political circles, Meghna, which favors active diplomatic talks, and that's the way to pursue it and find an amicable solution to this long-standing boundary dispute. But that, of course, is a large number of intelligentsia inside Nepal, some politicians, some think tank groups as well, who favor that there must be far wider consultation with India, because India clearly is one of the parties in this dispute, before you release what they have already done. And now we see this climb down.
Absolutely, and most of these skirmishes have been solved diplomatically. Athar, do stay on with us. Maruf Raza is also joining us, a consulting editor. Now, Maruf, Nepal has put that controversial map on hold. Do you think this is going to be the way forward for India, even dealing with China diplomatically, whatever can be done via back channel talks instead of coming out in the media glare and speaking of it?
Yes, it will give the foreign ministry a breather, with Nepal putting process on hold. But Nepal, as was being out, was not acting on its own.
Well, there seems to be.
Hello?
Well, Maruf, if you can hear me, there's a bit of a problem there with your audio, but if you could continue.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, it's a bit better. Go ahead, Maruf. What do you think?
So what I'm saying is, for the moment, it will give the foreign ministry a bit of a breather, considering the fact that there is greater pressure in Delhi to deal with Indian boundary build.
Oh, well, we'll try and reconnect with Maruf. So let me go back across to Athar. And Athar, I think the point that Maruf was making is that it gives a bit of a breather to India to now deal with China on the Ladakh border, rather than worrying about how Nepal, its closest ally, one of the oldest ally, may have turned into a proxy for China.
Well, certainly. I do agree to an extent with Maruf's point there. I mean, he calls it a breather to the Ministry of External Affairs here. I would say it's an opportunity perhaps to maneuver yet again. And this particular climb down also is a result. It didn't come overnight. It didn't come miraculously. It is the effort, I would believe, of back channel diplomacy, of talks behind the scenes with diplomatic channels and otherwise as well, with not just people in Nepal, but also, efforts being made with China right now to make sure that whatever is happening in Ladakh, in the Galwan Valley, also to address those particular concerns via diplomacy. So I would say this is not just a breather for the Ministry of External Affairs. It also gives them the opportunity, Meghna, to outmaneuver the thinking here of the Chinese, because we've seen over the past so many months, I would say, let's call it a year also, the Chinese influence in Nepal and the way they make decisions, political and otherwise. The imprint of the Chinese Communist Party has been very clear, and many people also here, in experts like Maruf, would also understand and agree that perhaps India, I wouldn't say has dropped the ball as far as relations with Nepal is concerned. That would be too harsh to say, but there has been a bit of a lag in terms of proactive engagement of the Nepalese and getting them back into our fold, so to say. There has been some sort of a let-up where the Chinese have seen some sort of a vacuum there.
Very interesting point. Before we wrap up this segment, almost 90% of the FDI investment in Nepal happens to be that of China. So let's not kid ourselves. There are wheels within wheels which are being considered in the geopolitical strategies which are being developed. Thank you so much, however, Nikunj Garg as well as Athar Khan, for getting us all the details and perspective into that. A short break. This continues to be a top focus story.